Segment 1. Change your habits, change your future. Your future is not shaped by your dreams, your goals, your wishes, or your plans. Your future is shaped by your habits, the small choices you make every day, the routines you follow without thinking, the patterns you repeat even when you do not want to. Those silent actions build the life you will live tomorrow. Most people imagine their future as something that arrives suddenly. A big opportunity, a big change, a big moment. But the truth is different. Your future is created quietly in the background of your daily life. This is the message many people never understand. They think success comes from motivation. They think progress comes from excitement. They think transformation comes from inspiration. But excitement fades, motivation disappears, inspiration rises and falls. What remains are your habits. What remains are the actions you repeat whether you feel inspired or not. If you want to change your future, you must change what you do repeatedly. Your habits are the strongest force in your life. They can work for you or against you. They can build you or break you. They can guide you toward growth or trap you in the same place forever. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who work the hardest in one moment. They are the ones who work consistently in every moment. Think about your life right now. Think about your mornings. Think about what you do the first hour after waking up. Think about how you spend your afternoons. Think about your evenings. Think about the things you do when nobody is watching. These patterns create your identity. If you want a better future, you must build a better identity. And identity is built from your habits, not your wishes. Habits are powerful because they operate silently. You do them without questioning. You do them without resistance. And that is why they decide your direction. If your habits are weak, you build a weak future. If your habits are strong, your future becomes strong. Life does not respond to what you want. Life responds to what you do consistently. The first step to changing your habits is understanding how they form. A habit begins with a cue. Something triggers you, then comes a routine, the action you perform, and finally the reward, the feeling or outcome you associate with the habit. This loop repeats until the habit becomes automatic. To change any habit, you must interrupt this loop. You must recognize the trigger, you must replace the action, and you must create a new reward. For example, many people have the habit of scrolling their phone the moment they wake up. The cue is waking up, the routine is picking up the phone, the reward is distraction or comfort. If you want to break this habit, you do not remove the cue, you change the routine. Instead of grabbing your phone, you drink water, you stretch, you write your plans, you choose a different action and build a different reward. Changing habits does not require force. It requires awareness. It requires intention. It requires discipline. And discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect. When you build strong habits, you are telling yourself that your life matters, that your time matters, that your future matters. Many people wait for a perfect moment to change. They say they will start next week, next month, next year, after a birthday, after a holiday, after something settles in their life. But there is no perfect moment. The perfect moment is the moment you decide to begin. Every delay adds weight to old habits. Every excuse strengthens the old patterns. If you want to change your future, start small. Do not try to rebuild your entire life in one day. Do not expect overnight transformation. Greatness is not built in intensity. Greatness is built in consistency. Small habits done daily create massive change over time. Read one page, walk 5 minutes, study 10 minutes, clean your desk, practice one skill, wake up 10 minutes earlier, drink water first, do something small, repeat it until it becomes natural, then add something more. This is how habits grow, gradually, quietly, powerfully. But you must also understand the habits that are holding you back. The habits you know are hurting your future. The habits that give you comfort now but steal opportunities later. Procrastination, overthinking, staying up too late, scrolling endlessly, talking negatively to yourself, avoiding challenges. These habits feel easy, but ease carries a price. Every easy habit builds a difficult future. Every difficult habit builds an easy future. You must choose which difficulty you want: the temporary difficulty of discipline or the long term difficulty of regret. You cannot avoid difficulty, you can only choose the type. Your habits are shaping your character, they are shaping your behavior, they are shaping your confidence, they are shaping your opportunities. You cannot hide from your habits, they follow you everywhere. They show up in your work, in your relationships, in your health, in your mindset. They are the invisible architect of your destiny. Many people look at successful individuals and think they are lucky, but luck is only a small part of the story. The larger part is habits: daily reading, daily planning, daily execution, daily learning, daily reflection. These are the habits that separate the people who grow from the people who stay the same. Your mind learns through repetition. Every time you repeat an action, you strengthen the neural pathway in your brain. Habits are not magic, they are science, and science works the same for everyone. If you practice discipline daily, your mind becomes disciplined. If you practice avoidance daily, your mind becomes avoidant. The future you get is built by the habits you practice. Before we end this segment, ask yourself this question: what is one habit in your life that is keeping you small? And what is one habit you can start that will move you closer to the life you want? Do not think big, think consistent. Because success does not come from giant changes, it comes from small changes done relentlessly. Your future is not waiting for luck, it is waiting for your habits. Change your habits, and you will change who you become. Change who you become, and you will change your future. Segment 2: Change your habits, change your future. Most people believe their life is shaped by big decisions: choosing a career, choosing where to live, choosing who to be with. But the truth is subtler and far more powerful. Your life is shaped by the small, invisible decisions you make every day, the moments you repeat without paying attention, the actions you take automatically. These tiny choices form habits, and habits form your future. In this segment, we dive deeper into the psychology behind habits and why changing them is the most practical way to change your destiny. Let us begin with something simple but easily forgotten. You are not born with your habits, you build them. Every repeated action forms a pattern, and that pattern becomes part of your life. This means you can build new patterns at any time. You are not trapped by your past. You are shaped by your repetition. Think of your mind as a field. Every time you repeat an action, you walk through the same path in that field. The grass becomes shorter, the trail becomes clearer. Eventually, you walk that path without thinking. That is what a habit is: a mental path that has been repeated so many times that you follow it automatically. Now imagine another path, one you have never walked before. The grass is tall, The ground feels uneven, walking feels uncomfortable. This represents a new habit. It feels strange, it feels difficult, it feels unfamiliar. But if you walk that path daily, eventually it becomes smooth, it becomes natural, it becomes automatic. This is why starting a new habit feels hard. Not because you lack discipline, not because you are lazy, but because your brain is wired to follow the old path. You must create a new one step by step. Many people try to change their lives dramatically. They set big goals, they make big promises, they feel motivated for a day or two, then fall back into old habits. They blame themselves, they think they failed, but they did not fail. They used the wrong strategy. Big change does not come from big actions. Big change comes from small actions done consistently. Habits are not built by intensity. They are built by repetition. If you want to improve your English, reading one book in a week is not as powerful as reading 10 minutes every day. If you want to get healthy, running 5 miles one day is not as powerful as walking 30 minutes daily. If you want to grow your career, working intensely for 2 days is not as powerful as upgrading your skills every evening. Consistency beats intensity. Every time. Let us talk about the habits that are blocking your future, the habits that slowly reduce your potential. These habits are not dramatic, they are subtle, silent, comfortable, and because they are comfortable, you do not notice the damage they cause. The habit of distraction, the habit of delay, the habit of overthinking, the habit of staying up too late, the habit of scrolling endlessly, the habit of starting things you never finish, the habit of promising yourself change but taking no action. Each of these habits steals a small piece of your future, just a small piece, so small that you barely notice it. But over the years, those pieces add up. And suddenly, you wonder why your life looks the same as it did 5 years ago. The danger is not in failure. The danger is in staying the same. Now, let us shift to the habits that build your future. These habits are also small, but unlike the bad habits, they give you power instead of draining it. The habit of reading a little, the habit of planning your day, the habit of setting priorities, the habit of learning daily, the habit of waking up with intention, the habit of doing one meaningful thing even when you do not feel like it. These habits also look small, but they build a completely different future. They build confidence, they build momentum, they build identity. Identity is important, very important. You become what you repeatedly do. If you want to change your future, you must change your identity. And identity is shaped by habits. If you exercise daily, you become someone who cares about health. If you learn daily, you become someone who grows. If you speak English daily, you become someone who communicates confidently. If you plan your days, you become someone who takes control of life. Identity is not something you wait for. Identity is something you build. Now let us talk about the mindset needed for habit change. It starts with honesty. You must be honest about what your habits are doing to your life, whether they are helping you grow or keeping you small, whether they are pushing you forward or holding you back, whether they are building your future or destroying it silently. Honesty is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. The next mindset is patience. New habits do not show results immediately. People often quit, not because they lack discipline, but because they lack patience. They expect quick results. They expect immediate progress. But habits take time. Your brain needs time to accept new patterns. The third mindset is forgiveness. You will fail sometimes. You will miss days. You will fall into old habits occasionally. That does not mean you failed. That means you are human. The key is to return quickly. Failure becomes permanent only when you stop trying. Another powerful mindset is awareness. Pay attention to what triggers your habits. When do you start scrolling? When do you procrastinate? When do you avoid responsibility? Awareness helps you break old habits and create new ones. Your future will not change by luck. It will change by design. And habits are the blueprint of that design. Before this segment ends, I want you to imagine something. Imagine the version of yourself 5 years from now. More confident, healthier, skilled, successful, speaking English fluently, in control of your time. Living with purpose, not confusion. That version of you is not a fantasy. That version is shaped by the habits you build today. Your future is not far away. It begins right now, in this moment, with the habits you choose from today onward. Change your habits and you will change your future. Segment 3. Change your habits, change your future. In the first two segments, you learned that habits shape identity and identity shapes destiny. Now, in this segment, we go deeper into the invisible patterns that guide your daily life. Patterns that most people never pay attention to. Patterns that quietly decide whether you move forward or stay stuck in the same place year after year. Let us begin with a simple truth. Your habits are decisions you made a long time ago and continued to repeat without evaluating them. This means many of your habits are outdated. They do not match the person you want to become. They were created in a different phase of your life, yet you still live by them. You still follow routines built by your old self. This is why you feel a gap between who you are and who you want to be. You cannot build a new future with old habits. Most people think habits are difficult to change because they require willpower. But habits are not changed by willpower alone. They are changed by clarity. You must know exactly why a habit exists before you can replace it. Every habit, good or bad, exists because it serves a purpose. It gives relief, comfort, or distraction. That is why you repeat it. The goal is not to fight your habits, but to understand them. Once you understand why they exist, you can choose better ones. For example, if you have the habit of procrastinating, the cause is not laziness. The cause is overwhelm or fear of failure. If you have the habit of scrolling endlessly, the cause is not weakness. The cause is a need for escape. If you have the habit of staying up too late, the cause is not irresponsibility. The cause is trying to recover the time you feel you lost during the day. You do not change habits by force. You change them by meeting the real need behind them. But there is more. Habits are influenced by your environment. If your environment is full of distractions, you will build a distracted mind. If your environment is full of noise, you will struggle to focus. If your environment does not support discipline, discipline becomes a fight. Many people try to change their habits without changing their environment and then wonder why they fail. Your environment must match the future you want. If you want to read more, your books should be visible, not hidden. If you want to work out, your shoes should be ready, not packed away. If you want to grow your skills, your learning tools should be within reach, not buried under clutter. If you want to build a focused mind, remove things that invite distraction. The next important point is identity-based habits. People often try to change habits with actions. They say they want to eat healthier. They say they want to study more. They say they want to practice English, but they never change the identity behind those habits. Identity is the foundation. If your identity does not match your actions will not last. You cannot become a disciplined person while telling yourself you are undisciplined. You cannot become a confident English speaker while telling yourself you are shy. You cannot become successful while believing you are not capable. Your habits will always match your beliefs. If you want to change your habits, you must change the story you tell yourself. Tell yourself you are someone who finishes what you start. Tell yourself you are someone who wakes up with intention. Tell yourself you are someone who practices daily. Tell yourself you are someone who grows consistently. Identity creates behavior. Behavior creates results. Now let us talk about the role of time. Many people underestimate the power of time. They expect big changes too quickly. They think habits should show results fast. But habits work slowly. They work quietly. They work invisibly. When you plant a seed, it does not grow in one day. You water it daily. You do not see progress for weeks. But something is happening underground. Something is happening where you cannot see. Then one day the seed breaks the ground. And what looked like an overnight change was actually days of unseen growth. Your habits are the same. The progress you cannot see is still progress. The small improvements you do not notice are shaping you. You must trust the process. Time rewards consistency, not intensity. Let us move to something many people ignore: the emotional connection to habits. Emotions shape actions. If a habit feels difficult, painful, or stressful, you will resist it. If a habit feels meaningful, rewarding, or empowering, you will adopt it faster. That is why you must attach emotion to your habits. You must attach purpose to them. Do not build habits just because you should. Build habits because they lead to the person you want to be. When you tie a habit to a meaningful identity, it becomes easier to maintain. You do not read because someone told you to read. You read because you are becoming a lifelong learner. You do not practice English because you feel forced. You practice because you are becoming an international communicator. You do not wake up earlier because it is fashionable. You wake up earlier because you value your future more than your comfort. Purpose shapes persistence. Now let us talk about the habits that silently weaken your potential. Habits like complaining, habits like seeking validation, habits like thinking negatively, habits like pushing responsibility onto others. These habits create a limited life. Not because they are big, but because they are repeated daily. A single negative thought is harmless. A daily cycle of negative thoughts becomes a mindset, and mindset becomes reality. A single excuse is not dangerous. Daily excuses build a life of regret. Many people think negative habits only cause small damage. But small damage repeated for years becomes large destruction. You must protect your mind the same way you protect your health. Remove what weakens you. Keep what strengthens you. The next part of this transformation is breaking the habit of quitting. Many people start well. They begin with energy. They begin with excitement. But excitement fades. And when it fades, they quit. They quit new routines. They quit new goals. They quit new projects. They quit before results appear. If you want a better future, you must build the habit of consistency. not the habit of quitting. Consistency is more powerful than talent, more powerful than motivation, more powerful than intelligence. Consistency is the engine of success. Before ending this segment, I want you to reflect on this. Your habits decide your future, not your background, not your education, not your current situation, not your past mistakes. Your habits decide who you become, and who you become decides the life you will live. If your habits stay the same, your future will stay the same. If your habits change, your future will change. The life you want is waiting. It is on the other side of your new habits. Segment 4: Change your habits, change your future. In the last segment, you learned how identity, environment, and emotional patterns shape your habits. In this segment, we go even deeper into the mechanics of discipline, the psychology of routines, and the invisible rules that determine whether your habits survive long term or collapse after a few days. Let us begin with something many people misunderstand. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to work harder. Discipline is about reducing the need for force altogether. Real discipline is built by simplifying your decisions, removing friction, and designing your environment so that good habits become the easiest option, not the hardest. Most people fail not because they are weak, but because their life is filled with unnecessary resistance. They keep junk food in their kitchen while trying to eat healthy. They keep their phone near their bed while trying to improve sleep. They keep their workspace cluttered while trying to focus. They keep distractions within reach while trying to study or work. The human brain always takes the easiest path. If you want stronger habits, you must make the right actions easier and the wrong actions harder. This is the foundation of discipline. You do not fight your brain, you guide it. The second idea is this: a habit becomes powerful when it becomes part of your identity, but it also needs structure. Many people try to build habits without structure. They wake up and hope motivation will tell them what to do. But hope is not a strategy. Motivation is not a plan. You need a system. Systems create clarity. Clarity creates consistency. A system does not need to be complicated. A simple checklist, a daily routine, a fixed time slot, a small ritual before starting. These small systems make habits stick. When your brain knows what to expect, it resists less. When your day has structure, change feels natural. Now let us talk about one of the most important truths in habit building. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. You can dream of becoming fluent in English, but if you have no daily system for learning, the dream stays a dream. You can dream of getting fit, but without a system for exercise, the dream stays in your mind. Goals give direction, systems give results. Another powerful concept is habit stacking. This means attaching a new habit to an existing one. Your brain loves patterns. If you want to add something new to your life, connect it to something that already exists in your routine. For example, after making your morning coffee, you read for 5 minutes. After brushing your teeth, you practice English speaking for 2 minutes. After finishing dinner, you plan for the next day. These small connections create powerful consistency. Habit stacking works because it removes decision making. You do not think, you follow the chain. Let us now explore the emotional resistance that stops people from building new habits. Many people know exactly what they should do. They know they should wake up earlier. They know they should exercise. They know they should study. They know they should stop procrastinating, but they do not take action, not because they do not care, but because the emotional cost feels high. The emotional cost is fear, boredom, or discomfort. The habit is not hard. The emotion attached to it is hard. For example, exercising is not difficult, but the thought of exercising feels uncomfortable. Studying is not hard, but the thought of sitting down to study feels overwhelming. Practicing English is not impossible, but the fear of speaking incorrectly makes it feel scary. To overcome emotional resistance, you must lower the entry barrier. You must shrink the habit until it becomes too small to fear. Instead of studying for 1 hour, study for 5 minutes. Instead of exercising for 30 minutes, exercise for 2 minutes. Instead of practicing English for 20 minutes, speak for 30 seconds. The goal is not intensity. The goal is momentum. Once you start, continuing becomes easier. The hardest part is starting. Small steps remove the emotional resistance and turn action into momentum. Let us talk about another invisible force that controls habits: your self image. If your self image conflicts with the habit you want to build, the habit will fail. For example, if you want to exercise, but you see yourself as someone who is not athletic, you will quit. If you want to speak English, but you see yourself as someone who is shy, you will avoid speaking. If you want to study daily, but you see yourself as someone who lacks discipline, you will struggle. You cannot build habits that your identity rejects. You must shift your self image gradually. You do not need to lie to yourself. You need to create evidence. When you exercise for 1 minute, you prove to yourself that you can move. When you study for 5 minutes, you prove you are consistent. When you speak even one sentence of English, you prove you are capable. Evidence changes identity. Identity strengthens habits. Another important topic is the myth of motivation. Many people depend on motivation to start or continue habits, but motivation is unreliable. It is emotional. It fluctuates. It depends on external energy. Habits, however, require consistency even when you feel nothing. If you rely on motivation, you will quit every time your emotions shift. Instead, rely on discipline, structure, and small steps. These are stable. These do not depend on mood. These are the true engines of lasting change. Next, let us talk about the habit of giving up too early. Most people quit before results appear. They quit their exercise routine because they do not see changes in 1 week. They quit learning because they struggle after a few days. They quit studying because progress feels slow. But every habit has a period of invisible progress, a period where you feel like nothing is happening, but something is happening inside your mind, inside your body, and inside your behavior. Every habit has a hidden phase. If you quit before passing this hidden phase, you never reach the reward. The key is not to see results fast. The key is to stay consistent long enough. Now let us explore the habit of self-negotiation. This habit destroys discipline. You tell yourself you will wake up early, but when the alarm rings, you negotiate. You tell yourself you will not eat junk, but when you see it, you negotiate. You tell yourself you will study today, but when the time comes, you negotiate. Self-negotiation weakens your ability to trust yourself, and when you cannot trust yourself, your habits fall apart. The solution is simple. Make the decision once, not every day. If you decide to wake up at a specific time, make that decision firm. Do not negotiate in the morning. If you decide to study, do not renegotiate at the moment you feel lazy. Build the habit of following through without debate. This builds self respect and inner strength. Before closing this segment, let us reflect on the idea of long term identity. Your habits are not just actions, they are votes for the person you want to become. Every day you cast a vote. You either vote for the future you or you vote for the old you. And the person you become depends on the votes you cast repeatedly. You do not need to be perfect, you only need to be consistent. The new life you want cannot be built with the habits that built your current life. Your future is waiting for the habits you choose today. Segment 5: Change your habits, change your future. In this segment, we will explore one of the most important truths about habits. They do not only shape your days, they shape your destiny. Your habits influence the direction of your life because they influence your thoughts, your decisions, your focus, and your energy. To change your future, you must learn how to build habits that fuel your growth rather than drain your potential. Let us begin with something many people never realize. Your habits are connected. A good habit in one part of your life can improve another part, and a bad habit in one part of your life can damage multiple areas. No habit exists alone. Every habit has a ripple effect. For example, waking up on time does not only give you more hours, it strengthens your discipline, it improves your self respect, it creates mental clarity, it reduces stress. This one habit influences your mood, your mindset, and your productivity. On the other hand, staying up too late does not only make you tired, it weakens your discipline, it reduces your energy, it affects your decision making, it increases your stress. One negative habit quietly influences everything you do. This is why changing one habit can change your entire life. One change creates space for another and another and another. That is how transformation begins. Now let us talk about the invisible enemy of good habits: autopilot. Many people live their lives on autopilot. They repeat the same routines without questioning them. They follow old patterns because they feel familiar. They choose the easiest path because it requires the least thought. But autopilot keeps you stuck. It keeps you repeating yesterday's life today, and it keeps you from building the future you want. To break autopilot, you must bring awareness into your daily actions. Awareness turns unconscious choices into conscious decisions. When you know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what it leads to, your habits become intentional. And intentional habits build intentional lives. Another major force that shapes habits is your emotional state. People often judge their habits without understanding their emotional triggers. They ask why they procrastinate, but they ignore the anxiety behind it. They ask why they overeat, but they overlook the stress that triggers it. They ask why they avoid challenges, but they do not see the fear hidden underneath. Habits are emotional responses before they become behavioral patterns. If you want to change a habit, you must first understand the emotion that drives it. Let us look at an example. When someone feels overwhelmed, their habit may be distraction, not because they want to avoid work, but because their mind seeks relief. If you want to replace this habit, you must reduce overwhelm, not increase pressure. This means breaking tasks into smaller steps and creating emotional safety around your goals. Another example is fear. Many people avoid difficult habits because they fear failure. They avoid speaking English, avoid learning new skills, avoid applying for opportunities. The habit is avoidance, but the emotion behind it is fear. When you address the fear, the habit becomes easier to change. The emotional layer is the root of every habit. When you change the root, the habit changes naturally. Now, let us talk about a powerful principle in habit building, the principle of identity alignment. Your habits must match the kind of person you want to become. If they do not match, they will not last. You cannot become productive with the habits of a distracted person. You cannot become healthy with the habits of someone who avoids movement. You cannot become confident with the habits of someone who avoids challenges. You must ask yourself this question: what would the future version of me do daily? The answer is the blueprint for your habits. If your future self is confident, your habits must include facing discomfort. If your future self is successful, your habits must include discipline. If your future self is fluent in English, your habits must include speaking, listening, and practicing daily. Your habits must serve your future, not your comfort. Next, let us explore the role of standards. Everyone has habits, but not everyone has standards. Standards are the minimum level you accept from yourself. If your standards are low, your habits will be weak. If your standards are high, your habits will be strong. Successful people are not always more talented. They simply carry higher standards. Low standards say things like, I will try. I will do it when I feel like it. I will start tomorrow. High standards say, I will do it today. I will finish what I start. I will follow through even if the motivation is gone. Your standards determine your results. Raise your standards and your habits will rise with them. Another important factor is the habit of attention. What you focus on shapes your mindset, and your mindset shapes your actions. In today's world, attention is under attack. Notifications, social media, random distractions, constant entertainment all fight for your attention. If you lose control of your attention, you lose control of your habits. To protect your future, you must protect your attention. Spend it wisely. Spend it on things that matter. Remove what steals your focus. Limit what drains your mind. Your future depends on where your attention goes today. Now let us talk about the importance of accountability. People often quit when nobody is watching, but when they feel responsible to themselves or others, they remain consistent. Accountability can be created through journaling, planning, or sharing your goals with someone trustworthy. It builds commitment. It creates pressure to follow through. It strengthens your discipline. But the strongest form of accountability is self-accountability. When you keep promises to yourself, you build inner trust. When you break promises to yourself, you weaken that trust. Your relationship with yourself determines your consistency more than anything else. Before ending this segment, reflect on one important truth. Habits do not change your life immediately, they change the direction of your life. That direction over weeks, months, and years creates a completely different future. Your tomorrow is built by the small decisions you make today. If you want a new life, you must build new habits. Your habits are the architects of your future. Change the architect, and you will change the design. Your future self is waiting for the habits you choose today. Segment 6. Change your habits, change your future. You have reached the final segment of this journey. By now, you understand that habits are not just actions. They are the invisible forces shaping who you become. They decide your discipline, your focus, your confidence, and your long term destiny. But in this final part, we go beyond behavior. We explore the deeper truth. Lasting transformation requires not only changing habits, but also changing the relationship you have with yourself, with time, and with your future. Let us begin with something essential. Every habit you build is a vote for the person you want to become. Every habit you repeat is a message to your future that says, I am preparing for you. Your habits are conversations with your destiny. When you repeat disciplined habits, you communicate with strength. When you repeat weak habits, you communicate with fear. The quality of these daily conversations determines the quality of your future. Many people hold a mistaken belief. They think their future will magically improve if they think positively, wish for change, or wait for motivation. But future improvement does not come from hope, it comes from action. Habits turn hopes into outcomes, habits turn thoughts into identity, habits turn desire into reality. Now let us explore the habit of self-belief. If you build strong habits but lack belief, those habits will not reach their full power. Identity powers action. If you believe you're capable of change, your habits become stronger. If you believe you're stuck, your habits collapse quickly. Belief is the engine. Habits are the vehicle. You need both. Self-belief grows through evidence. Every small habit you complete becomes proof. Proof that you are capable. Proof that you are consistent. Proof that you can trust yourself. And the more evidence you build, the stronger your belief becomes. Another important truth is this: your habits must be aligned with your future vision. If your habits are designed for comfort, your future will be limited. If your habits are designed for growth, your future will expand. You cannot expect a powerful future with powerless habits. You cannot create a disciplined future with undisciplined routines. The habits of your present must match the identity of your future. Let us talk about the one habit that controls all other habits: the habit of awareness. Awareness is the ability to observe your actions without judgment. When you are aware, you see which habits push you forward and which hold you back. You notice your triggers. You notice when you drift into procrastination. You notice when you waste time. You notice when your old patterns start pulling you backward. Awareness is your internal compass. Without it, you repeat old patterns without understanding why. With it, you gain the power to interrupt old habits and build new ones. Awareness is the beginning of all change. Now let us discuss consistency. Most people misunderstand consistency. They think consistency means perfection. They think missing a day means failure. They think progress must be linear. But real consistency is imperfect. Real consistency allows mistakes but refuses to quit. Real consistency is flexible, not rigid. If you miss a day, come back the next day. If you fall into an old habit, interrupt it the next moment. If you break your routine, rebuild it quickly. What destroys habits is not failure. What destroys habits is giving up after failure. Your future depends less on how perfectly you perform your habits and more on how quickly you return to them after breaking them. Now let us explore something deeper: the emotional habits behind your behavioral habits. Your thoughts repeat daily the same way your actions repeat daily. If your thoughts are negative, your habits become weak. If your thoughts are empowering, your habits become strong. Your emotional habits shape your behavioral habits. If your emotional habit is fear, you avoid challenges. If your emotional habit is doubt, you hesitate. If your emotional habit is frustration, you quit easily. But if your emotional habit is belief, you take action. If your emotional habit is patience, you stay consistent. If your emotional habit is curiosity, you continue learning. Changing your future requires changing not only your actions, but also the emotions that drive those actions. Let us now address time. People often say they do not have time to build habits, but time is rarely the real issue. The real issue is attention. Time is equal for everyone, but attention is what separates those who grow from those who stay the same. When you give your attention to distractions, you lose your future. When you give your attention to habits, you build your future. You do not need more time. You need better use of the time you already have. 10 minutes of focus is better than 2 hours of distraction. A small habit done daily is better than a big habit done rarely. Time rewards the consistent, not the busy. Now let us explore the difference between motivation and momentum. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes. Momentum is mechanical. It grows with repetition. If you rely on motivation, you will move only when you feel like it. If you rely on momentum, you will move because your system pulls you forward. Momentum is created by small habits repeated daily. Your job is not to feel motivated. Your job is to create momentum. Next, let us talk about your relationship with the future version of yourself. Many people act as if their future self is a stranger. They do things today that make tomorrow harder. They choose comfort today and leave difficulty for tomorrow. But your future self is not a stranger. Your future self is you, the person you will become, the person who will live with the consequences of your habits. Ask yourself one question every day. Am I helping my future self or hurting my future self? If the answer is hurting, change the habit. If the answer is helping, reinforce the habit. Before we close this final segment, understand one ultimate truth. Your habits decide the direction of your destiny. They do not need to be perfect. They need to be intentional. They do not need to be huge. They need to be consistent. They do not need applause. They need repetition. Your life will change when your habits change. Not because habits are magical, but because habits shape identity, and identity shapes choices. Choices shape your future. You do not need a massive revolution to change your life. You need small improvements repeated without giving up. You need routines that serve your goals instead of routines that serve your comfort. You need actions that build your future instead of actions that come from your past. Your future is not waiting for luck. It is waiting for discipline. It is waiting for intention. It is waiting for the habits you choose today. Change your habits and you will change your future. Not someday, not one day, but starting from the moment you decide that the person you want to become is worth more than the comfort you are leaving behind. Subscribe now. Join the Bright World English Academy family and let's start your English learning journey together.